That was the end of John's Gospel. Let's look at the end of Luke's Gospel. And I want to make this final point to you. When Paul said, don't let your minds be distracted from the simplicity that's in Christ, or the simplicity in your relationship with Jesus. I want to reinforce this thought to you, that Jesus said to His disciples, I am with you always, even unto the end of the age. And that's true for all of us. He is with us. He's with us all the time. He loves us. He cares about the things that concern us. And He's with us to help us, and to lead us, and to guide us. And He will walk with us if we will be aware of and acknowledge and be conscious of the fact that He is with us. I want to show you this in Luke's Gospel, chapter 24. After His death, burial, and resurrection, a couple of His disciples, let's begin reading in, I'm not quite sure where to start. How about verse 13? A couple of disciples are walking along here. Two of them went that same day to a village called Emmaus, which was from Jerusalem about 60 furlongs. They talked together of all the things that had happened. And it came to pass that while they communed together and reasoned, Jesus Himself drew near and went with them. Now these are followers of Jesus. Now Jesus Himself came along and walked with them. But their eyes were holden that they should not know Him. While they were reasoning together, their eyes were held from seeing Him. Now notice, this has to do with the fact that they put their heads together and were reasoning, and they were on this level of human reasoning, let's say. And while they reasoned together, they couldn't see Jesus. That's an interesting thought. While they were in their minds trying to figure it all out, they couldn't see Him. Now I think that's a profound thing. While they were thinking it through and struggling and using their brain power to try to figure out, we can't figure out what's happened, Jesus came and walked with them, but their eyes were held. Verse 17 says, He said to them, What manner of communications are these, which you have one to the other as you walk, and you're sad? Notice also, while they were reasoning, they were also sad. They couldn't see Jesus, and they were sad. This is very profound, picture of a Christian life. And one of them, whose name was Cleopas, answered and said unto Him, Are you a stranger in Jerusalem, and not known the things which are come to pass in these days? Saying to Jesus this. And He said to him, What things? And He said to him, Concerning Jesus of Nazareth. They're saying this to Jesus. Which was a prophet, mighty indeed, in word, before God and all the people. At least they're saying good things about Him. At least they're not talking Him down, that they don't recognize. And how the chief priests and our rulers delivered Him to be condemned to death, and have crucified Him. But we trusted that it had been He which should have redeemed Israel. And besides all this, today is the 3rd day since these things were done. Yea, and certain women also of our company made us astonished, which were early at the sepulchre. And when they found not His body, they came saying that they had seen a vision of angels, which said that He was alive. And certain of them which were with us went to the sepulchre, and found it even so as the women had said. But Him they saw not. Now here's Jesus' answer. And then He said to them, O fools, and slow of heart to believe all that the prophets had spoken. Ought not Christ to have suffered these things and entered into His glory? And beginning at Moses and all the prophets, He expounded unto them in all the Scriptures the things concerning Himself. Now this is the second time in what we read today that we have seen Jesus said what the Scriptures are about is pointing to Jesus. Notice He said He started Moses and the prophets, and He expounded them through Moses and the prophets about Himself, how they're pointing to Him, how they're speaking of Him. And that is an interesting way and an edifying way to read the Old Testament, to read it and have this thought in mind. This is leading me to Jesus. This is pointing to Jesus. This is find its fulfillment in Christ. So that's what He was showing them. Verse 28. And as they drew near to the village, still they don't know it's Him. As they drew near to the village, whither they went, He made as though He would have gone further. But they constrained Him and said, Abide with us, for it is toward evening, and the day is far spent. And He went in unto them to tarry with them. And it came to pass, as He sat at meat with them, He took bread, and He blessed it, and He broke it, and He gave it to them. Now, does this remind you of anything you've ever heard of before? When He took bread and broke it and gave to them? This is what He did at the Last Supper. When He took the bread and He broke it, and He said, This is my body given for you. And He took the cup and said, This is my blood of the New Testament. I don't know if these disciples were there, but surely they heard about that. And when He broke the bread and blessed it and gave it to them, it says in verse 31, their eyes were opened and they knew Him. And then He vanished out of their sight. They knew Him as He broke the bread, which really, in the terms of the Last Supper, signified His finished work on the cross, His redemptive work on the cross. He broke the bread and they got it, in other words. And they knew Him. But then he vanished out of their sight. And they said one to another, "Did not our heart burn within us while he talked with us on the way, while he opened to us the Scriptures?" Did you know, it's interesting to me that he walked with them, that he walked along with them and conversed with them, and they didn't realize it was him. Now, did you know, in your life, did you know Jesus walks with you, and did you know he converses with you, and you might not recognize it's him? But you know, when you get these thoughts that come across your mind about that are good things, that bless you, that lead you in good directions, you know, I think that's the Lord giving us that, you know. When you, those thoughts that lead you in good directions and lead you to help somebody else, or give you a good thought that builds you up, I think that's the Lord, you know. I believe that's him. You know, regardless of that, he's walking with. That's the point I want to make. He's with you 24 hours a day. What would happen if we recognized that thought? That we're not alone in this life. We're not out here wandering on our own, wondering what to do. He's with us, you know. I think sometimes he's walking along wondering when we're going to take notice of it, and, you know, why don't you let me help a little bit, you know. Notice it says that, "Did not our heart burn within us when he opened to us the Scriptures?" This is another thought here, that another way that we are conscious of him is when we open up the Scriptures and look at the Word. He speaks to us not only just through thoughts that he gives. I believe he does that. I believe he gives us good thoughts, you know. And listen, if it were not for that, I wouldn't know what I would do Sunday to Sunday. I rely on that. I rely on him to help me, you know. But not only that, you know, you all don't have to worry about that, but you've got things you've got to think about in your life. Did you know he'll give you thoughts? He'll give you ideas. He'll give you leading and guidance in all the things that concern you. But the main thing I want to get across to you is not the practical side of it, but just the fact that he's with you. You are not alone. You've got somebody near to you, alongside you, that loves you, that's there to help you, that's there to bless you.